Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Red Dirt Aggie Show. My name is Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie. That over there is
Catie Offerman.
Catie Offerman. She's here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and I know we tried to get you on earlier, but man, that hurricane knocked power out here for a while.
I know. I'm so sorry. That was so rough for you guys, man. That hit my cousins, and I know everybody was feeling that.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure. We were fortunate. My parents had one of those whole house generators, so we just kind of moved into their house we moved into their house for a week, and it was like a sleepover for a week over there. It wasn't too bad for us. So.
That's the best. Man, I feel like Texans are just always prepared, like just ready for whatever. Like, especially Texas parents. They're just like, they got the generator, they got the food stored up, they got, anything you could need.
Yeah, and that's my dad for sure. He's always ready for everything. He's got something to fix.
I love that. Sounds like my dad.
But yeah, and so we were just over there, watched a bunch of movies, hung out in the AC, so it was definitely a lot better than it could have been. No internet, but
yeah. I'm glad you guys are okay and everything.
Yeah.
Man, well, it could have been worse, but at least you're back in your house now.
Yeah, I was ready to be back in my house for sure. But...
yeah, we all know that feeling.
But I kind of just want to start off, and have you introduce yourself a little bit to anyone who doesn't know who you are, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but kind of just tell us a little bit about, where you're from and what kind of got you into music in the first place.
Man, so, I'm from New Braunfels, Texas. I love Texas so much. I'm a proud Texan. Everybody's like, what's your team? I don't really have a team because I went to a couple community colleges, and then I graduated from a music school. So it's like we never had a team. I was homeschooled growing up. I grew up on a ranch. My dad trained horses, and so I grew up pretty country. My mom worked, and my dad, ended up, he trained horses, but like he ended up being the Mr. Mom. And so he homeschooled me my whole life. And then I started college young, and I just, I always kind of had an abnormal life. Like anything that could have been normal, we chose the other route. It just seemed like that. It just always ended up being that way. It wasn't really out of choice. That's just how, the cards fell. And looking back now, like I'm just appreciative for it because I think it just kind of shaped me, who I am today. And my first professional gig was playing polka music. I don't know if you've ever been to Worst Fest. Have you been out? God, you need to go. You're missing out.
I've heard it's a good time over there for sure, but
it's a good time. It's a lots of beer, lots of sauerkraut, lots of bratwurst. So that was one of my first professional gigs. Traveling all around with a polka band playing Oktoberfest. And at some point it's like when you're 14 years old and you've only played polka music for the most part, at least out at gigs, it's like you just kind of realize at a point, like, do I want to be 60 years old and still doing this? Maybe not. Maybe I want to have kids my own age, like wanting to come out to my shows. And so I just got back to my roots of country music because I always had that in me, and I always listened to, my dad's and grandfather's records. And so, being from Texas, you have to love country music. And for me, it was always a part of who I was, and it was just getting back to that. And I grew up playing fiddle and, different instruments, and fiddle kind of ended up being the thing that seemed to take the forefront of everything else. And so I just started taking fiddle gigs, and that's what kind of opened the door initially to meeting a bunch of people and just kind of learning about life and music, and just leading me to, Berkeley to go to school, graduated there, moved out to LA. And just over time, I started writing songs, and it just kind of started this evolution of maybe I don't want to just be a side man my whole life. Maybe there's something more here. And I always have this sense of like, I don't know, a free spirit and trying things I haven't tried. And I think for me, there was just like a curiosity of like, but what if I tried this? What if I tried more? What if it wasn't just me backing people up? But I was really shy about singing, I think, for me, because I was always used to being behind an instrument, felt very exposed. And I don't know, I just started writing songs. And I think it was just the reality of like, well, who the heck's going to sing this if I don't? Probably nobody. And so I just kind of got thrown into the fire of singing at this one gig, and the rest is kind of history from there. And I love songs now, like writing songs and, connecting people with people in that way is one of my most favorite things, because there's so much in this business that is out of our control. I don't know how you feel on your end, but like, for me, it's like I can't control what one of the companies in my business does, or, if they decide to push a different artist and not me, or what radio picks as a song and, my song not working or whatever the deal is. But I do think that great songs always find their way. And I think that you can never have enough great songs. So right now, that's kind of my thing. I'm like, when life seems to throw me curveballs and give me things that bring me down, I'm just going to go write another song. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I live in Nashville now. I've been here about 8 years, and I miss Tex-Mex every day. I was just talking to some friends about Texas barbecue today, but I also love it here.
Well, and yeah, there's obviously a whole music scene there. There's a whole music scene here too, and it's just crazy that there's really only a few places that you find stuff like that. And really, I think it's in Texas and over there in Nashville as well. Just like those like where there's just
so true. I think we are so lucky. Like you said, like both Austin and Nashville, even like Fort Worth. I mean, man, that's still a whole nother scene that is so much fun. Those dance halls, and you never get a dance hall like you do in Texas, Yeah. I miss that. Like Green Hall, one of my favorite places ever. I don't know. There's just something about being a Texan playing country music in Texas. I was never, really doing like the red dirt scene or like the Texas kind of scene, but I've always loved just playing in Texas because Texans love Texans, and we just love our people, and it's just always a better time. Nobody else gets it, but I'm like, everything's way more fun back there. We got HEB, we got Buc-ee's. Well, before Buc-ee's started cheating on us in other states, but like Whataburger, like, just everything. So yeah, I love it. What can I say? It's my favorite place to play.
Yeah, and it means a lot to the people here, the music and all that. It means a lot to Texans for sure. And you said growing up in a small town or on a, was it a horse farm you said that you grew up on?
Yeah, just like a horse ranch.
Horse
ranch, a bunch of animals,
not a horse farm, I guess. But
well, no, it's okay. Horses. My mom calls it a farm. Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, growing up in a small town like that, did that kind of influence some of your songwriting and some of your music?
Yeah, I think that like New Braunfels used to be a lot smaller, Heck, now when I go back, I don't know anybody there because it's just grown so much. But I think like growing up outside of town on the ranch, especially, not even having to do with New Braunfels itself, but like just growing up in the country, it took us about 20 minutes actually to get into New Braunfels. So we weren't really in the city exactly. And, I just think that like I was an only child and my parents were older when they had me, and so they couldn't have any more kids. And I think just the combination of just growing up, only child, homeschooled, just me and my parents kind of, hanging out with my animals. Like, I just have a different perspective. Like there was never really drama. I never had siblings to fight with. It was just me and my goats, and it was super chill. I had nobody bitching at me, and I just go out and ride my horses. Like they were my best friends. And then when I started playing music, like music became my friend and my like way of communicating with the world, and not that I wasn't hanging out with people, but it was just that, it's just it wasn't like your typical, okay, go to school, hang out with all these kids, like whatever. Music was definitely my outlet to connection and people. And I don't know, like just experiencing things like that I'd never, had in the past. So I definitely think that Texas and growing up on the ranch like is a huge part of who I am, because even living in LA or living in Boston and, anywhere I've lived and been, like I'm still so much of that, 10-year-old girl on the ranch, deep down in my heart.
Right. And, you had a long journey to get to where you are now. And when you're on a long journey, sometimes you may stop into a gas station, right? So what's your go-to gas station snack when you're out there on tour or on the road?
Oh, man. Me and the guys in my band will be the first to admit that I am the person actually. We'll get back to the gas station, but like I'm the person that's like, y'all, we could be in the middle of Georgia, North Dakota, Timbuktu, whatever. And I'm like, y'all, I just went on Yelp and I found a Thai restaurant, this hole in the wall Thai restaurant. It's like 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes off the highway. And they're like, okay, all right. And I'm like, it's 4.5 star. And then we exit off the highway and we're driving. And they're like, oh my God, it's been like 20 minutes. I'm like, I promise it's just coming up. So my guilty thing is making people pull off the side of the road and go about 30 minutes off the highway just to get some random Thai food. or some good like hole in the wall dive.
Right.
If it came to like, if I was desperate and we were like eating just at a gas station, I'd probably get some nuts and some Topo Chico. 100%. Gotta have Topo Chico. I'm trying to think what else we get at the gas. I mean, the guys just get everything, but I'm kind of a sucker for nuts. I feel like you can just never go wrong.
Right.
What's your go-to snack at the gas station?
Man, I'm depending on the time of day. I guess if it's like the morning, if it's early and I'm up early, I'll grab a Red Bull, like a sugar-free Red Bull.
Oh,
but
that's hardcore.
But
wow.
If it's and then I guess food wise, snack wise, I like those beef and the little sticks with the beef and the cheese, the Jack Links.
Oh
nice
my
snack,
gosh, sketchy meat at the gas station.
No, it's fine. It's just like a Slim Jim. But yeah, it does make me a little concerned though, because the cheese is like not refrigerated, so it's like what
right?
Is it? It's not really chease.
If it's not cheese, what is the cheese? I get that. Buc-ee's really just does it the best for snacks. Like, I mean, you know what I love? Buc-ee's doesn't really do it, but if there's some place that has like crushed ice, like if I can get a Sonic sweet tea, that will get me going with some crushed ice. I have fond memories. There's something about being from like a small town. You just grew up going to Sonic and hanging out with your friends, That's the thing.
Sometimes too, just for soda.
Yeah, when you don't have a mall, you just go to Sonic. It is a thing. I know.
Oh, yeah. But it's, that crushed ice is something else.
I need an ice machine like that, but they're just so expensive. I don't even know where I'd put it.
Yeah, I guess
maybe Christmas.
Yeah, but no, I always try to do a little research before I have a guest on our show. So today I was searching around Google, and somewhere I'm not sure where I saw it exactly, but it said, I know I should probably like preface it with it was nothing bad. But,
you never know out there. Never know.
You never know what people put out there, but I saw a quote or something somewhere that said, you always said that you wanted to be the female George Strait, essentially, or kind of like, that level one day. Like that was a goal.
Well, the funny thing is you say one little thing and then everybody somehow takes a little nugget of that, then they go spin it their way and put your quotes on it. And Catie said she wants to be the new George. And it's like, wait. I mean, look, isn't that everybody's dream? I would love to be female George Strait, but I think all I ever meant, it all stemmed from, I don't remember who the heck I was talking to about this a couple years ago or whatever. My whole deal was that everybody's always asking like, well, who do you kind of compare your music to, or who do you think you sound like, or whatever. And I always kind of laugh at that because I'm like, well, don't you not want me to sound like anything else? Shouldn't I just be, unique, Catie Offerman over here? Yeah, that's the whole deal is you shouldn't, like, guys shouldn't be trying to sound like Morgan Wallen or like Jelly Roll. They should just be them because we already have that. And the same with any females. It's like, there's only one of you, so just do you. So for me, the thing that always brings me back to George is that, he is singing amazing songs. They are honest. They are, believable and connecting with people. He's not on stage in a slutty outfit. He doesn't have glitter falling from the sky. He's not using pyrotechnics. There's no tracks. It's just honest music and connection. And, he's not even dancing around. It's about the music. And so for me, that's what I always go back to in that comparison is like, that's all I could ever want. I don't use tracks in my shows. I just love good country music, and I'm not some acrobatic singer. If you're coming to hear Carrie Underwood kind of things, you came to the wrong show. It's just for me about just that believability and telling stories and connecting with people and making friends. And so I think he does just an incredible job of that. We did the show at Kyle Field with him. Right. Last month, and that is what I took away. That was, the most special moment for me was not even just playing, but walking back in during his set and seeing 110,000 people, all with their wristbands lit up and just like singing these songs. Like there was no fire blowing. There was no, whatever. Like George wasn't strapped to a trapeze. Like it was just him singing. Like, and the people, he's just standing up there in his jeans. And I'm like, that is so freaking cool that you can capture people like that still. Because I think a lot of people are of this mindset that, yes, we do have a lot of ADD these days. We get on TikTok and we're scrolling and our attention span's very short. But I think that reminded me that people still come together for great songs and an amazing artist and believable just performance. And I don't know, just the way he connects with the fans is so inspiring to me. So that is why I love George, like no other.
His ability to capture the attention of the audience and everyone, and like you said, there's no gimmicks, and it's like, there's a place for those other things. Those other things are exciting, they're fun,
for sure,
whatever. But some people might need that in their show or something to take it to the next level. He doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just goes out there and he performs, and he's got everyone's attention as soon as he's out there. Because he's George Strait, but two, because
I know.
The man has no bad songs. Is the thing. It's just like
you'd
be hard pressed to name a bad song that he's put out. I don't think
it is so true. I can't even think of one, but that's just, I don't know. Sometimes that's not the sole focus with artists these days, and that's okay. I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but for me, and the music that I grew up on was like timeless classic music, whether it was Bob Wills or Alison Krauss or Nickel Creek or George. The thing that all those artists had in common is like I could listen to their whole record and love every song and never get tired of it, and and just believe every word. And it aged so well. Like I still want to go back and listen to Vince Gill or Alison Krauss or whatever it is, where a lot of this stuff today, I'm like, I ain't gonna be listening to that when I'm 60, And so I think when I put out music, that's all I could ever hope to do is just put out music that I'm proud of, because you never know what'll happen. And I just want to put stuff out that I believe in and hopefully connect with people.
Yeah, and then that's a big goal, I would imagine, as being an artist, and that's what a lot of people that come on this podcast have said. Their goal is just they want to put out music that they're proud of, that means something to them, and then but that at the same time they also want to be able to connect with their audience with what they're putting out too. And if it's popular, it's popular. If it's not, then oh well, at least I did something I believe in, and the people that do like it are going to connect with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's respectable that there are still a lot of artists out there like you and George and everyone else who still makes music like that.
Well, just so many people are doing such a great, Jake Worthington, love him. I love what Parker does. I'm such a big Parker fan, and he doesn't, use tracks. I love Cody Johnson. Obviously, Cody's getting radio success now. But just people that have stuck with what they do. And I think that's what people, they can see through that and connect with it and know that that's the real stuff,
Yeah, no, I like you mentioned Jake Worthington too. I don't understand how he doesn't have more success and attention thrown at him. I saw him play at Billy Bob's not too long ago, and I was just like blown away.
Nice.
I didn't realize the talent that man has. I was like, wow, like I felt like I was back in time, like in an old honky tonk or something. Listen, I don't know how to explain it.
I know.
There's not a lot of people that still make that style of music and are able to pull it off the way he did. I can think of maybe a few others right now. You've got Randall King and Zach Top kind of doing their thing with that honky sound too. But
for sure,
that was just really cool. And Jake's a really nice guy too. I got the chance to
he's so nice. He's just such a country boy. I'm like, I didn't until we hung out recently, I was like, God, I didn't even realize he was that country, but he's that country.
Yeah, it took me back a little bit too. I walked in there and talked to him. He was like, "How you doing?" He's got that thick accent.
I know,
that good old boy accent.
I know,
man. Nice as could be.
It's super authentic to him.
And he,
I love it.
Say, after he performed too, he sat there on the stage, and he everyone that went up there, he took a picture with, shook their hand, brought a little kid up on stage, signed his hat. It's just took the time for every single person that was there that wanted to get a picture or an autograph or anything.
People will remember that.
Yeah, it's cool, and that's one of another great things about Texas, like what you're saying.
I know.
But
there's good people.
Good people for sure. And going back to that Kyle Field show, what was that like? Walking out there on that stage and looking up into like Kyle Field, just a massive stadium, and then coming back out later and watching George. Just how was that whole experience for you?
It was insane. Parts of it was like super normal, and parts of it was super not normal. I don't play for crowds that size, so I'm like somehow I'm so lucky to have been on so many of these Parker McCollum dates in the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever. those kind of are the max. Usually, like when he does the Texas shows, is like maybe 25,000, somewhere around there. So I'm like, man, somehow I went from the 25,000 crowds to the 110,000. Like, what happened to the 50 and the 60? Like, we skipped a lot. So I just felt really lucky to be there. I don't know how they picked me, but what I heard was that George, he picked two people that he wanted to kind of just put his stamp of approval on, that were too up and coming. I mean, I don't consider Parker up and coming because he's already there and doing it, but like, two Texas people that he believed in. And so I thought that was just really special because, I did some shows with George last year. I did a couple at Dickies Arena, and I think that the fact he asked me back, I think that meant the most to me, that I did okay. Kind of that thing of you get asked to do some shows, you do them, and you're like, well, I hope that worked out okay. And so I think that meant the most to me out of this whole deal. Like, aside from it being a blowout world record show, whatever, I think the fact that George asked me back is what was the sweetest to me. His crew just takes incredible care of us. They set up our stuff, they do our sound. All of George's sound guys that do his sound is doing my in-ears, and so that's all, totally not the case at these gigs that we do. Usually it's kind of, the Parker shows we get taken care of amazing, but like at the, just your run-of-the-mill festivals, whatever dates, you're just getting the house, whatever people. And it's, wildly different than like George's crew taking amazing care of you. And so that's always so special because that like your sound is going to be impeccable. And so that is really cool and very much, we don't have, they definitely don't have to do that for us, but they do, and they go above and beyond. So that's really cool. But I think just getting in there, first off, it was freaking hot. It was so hot. My face was beet red that entire night. I think it was red for like 3 days after that. It's like not even a tan, just a bad flush of the face. And I don't know, I just tried to soak it in because those are the moments that make this whole thing really sweet. And we don't always get those moments. And there's highs and lows in life at the same time, I've realized. And that's one of the highs. And so it's just like, this is really cool. Like, I don't take that for granted. I think 10 of those people came from me, and that was cool too. But just like seeing, I had a girl that made a sign for me.
I saw that.
Like, I never had that. Awesome. That was so sweet. It was like, I love Catie. It was like, we love Catie, whatever it said. And I was like, I have it. She was like, you can have it if you want. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's literally in my house here. I'm like, I'm going to frame it, put it on my music wall. But yeah, just a lot of sweet first, and I think also what was really cool for me at that show was, at those kind of stadiums, it is so big. It's so hard to even find the bathroom, like whatever, let alone just your seat. And so I went to the merch booth when I was done playing before Parker's set and told people on the microphone, come see me, I'll hug your neck, give you a t-shirt, sign, whatever, and give you a picture and stuff. And like the line was just wrapped around, and it was just crazy to see that many people that came to say hello and meet me, and just because that's a struggle to get back. I just thought that was really, really cool and very appreciative. So anyway, I am saying prayers for more Parker George tours in my future. 2025, Parker George. Me too. So, that's my dream first of 3. That's all I need. If that life was just that's enough,
Well, and just that whole day was just so perfect. All the and then the lighting and stuff that they had for when George came out too. I was down on the field. We had I actually got media access. Well, not media access, but we got access to the floor to film some stuff.
That's cool.
And so I was down there and I looked up when George started playing it because I realized all the lights, the bands came on, and I was like, made me emotional. I'm like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It really was just like this crazy moment, everybody together,
Yeah.
And just being brought together by country music. It was, it was like an experience, like a spiritual experience of just being in that room.
It's going to be hard to ever top that concert unless it does it again and there's more people or something. That's the only way I can think of.
Yeah, I know. But, I'm like, let's break the record again. Yeah, everything's downhill from there because it was just so fun.
Yeah, well, and being in Kyle Field, of course, made it even more special for me being an Aggie, and so it was neat.
Yeah,
for sure. But
for sure.
I have another question for you. What advice would you give to any young boy or girl who might want to become a musician or start playing music?
Man, I think if it's more from the musician's, standpoint, I think for me, I have kind of a separate thought for the artist and songwriter, but like, I think that if you can find somebody that you really connect with, like to take lessons from, and a lot of kids are learning on YouTube these days, and that works too if that works for you. But I think figuring out like, because, I originally grew up playing classical music, playing like orchestra, kind of Suzuki, classical, whatever, sit in your chair until your butt falls asleep kind of stuff. And that didn't speak to me. And so I think that what I would, want to impress upon somebody else is like, don't quit. Just if you're learning classical music or if you're learning bluegrass and it's not speaking to you, then go try classical music or go try jazz or go do more pop country. Like maybe see what speaks to you, because it's not a one size fits all, and there's so many different avenues. And I think that it's hard because kids these days and music programs, like at school or whatever, they're just it's not really a stimulating environment, I guess. From what I can kind of see and what I've done, it's like they're just kind of playing in their bedroom and then they go home. But I think it's like if they just knew that there's this world out there that they could play and have a blast, and make money too. Well, not that we always make money, but like, when you're young, probably made more money growing up than I did now, but like, because you didn't have expenses, but just figuring out what that is that makes you tick, what gets you going and chasing that. Because I think, you can, man, especially when you're younger, your brain can just absorb so much more. And it's like, man, just soak it all in, do it all, and learn it all. And, from an artist standpoint, I think for me, it's just like, find the thing that makes you you and just do that. Like, don't try to sound like anybody else. If you feel like you're not as blonde as somebody else, you feel like you can't sing as high as somebody else, if you feel, I don't know, I think just keep writing songs, and you're going to write a million bad songs, and then you're going to write a good one, and then you're going to write some more bad ones, and then you're going to write a better one. And and just leaning into, I always say, like, I think God gave me about 8 notes to sing, and heck, I sure wish I had more, but I think that he knew that I'd know what to do with those. And so I think it's just like, lean into what makes you you, because there's a million of everybody else, and we don't need any more of them.
Well, right.
And I think just honestly, like, just keep going. I think that's the main thing, because there are so many roadblocks you get in this business. This is not glamorous. It is not, a straightforward path. And so it's like, man, I think the friends I see in all different capacities, songwriters, musicians, the friends that just keep pushing through are the ones that are rewarded,
Right. And, because I'm sure a lot of people, they run into roadblocks. Life happens, or they get set back because of different things. But I guess the important thing is just always keep trying to play music, where you can, and then eventually you can push through and make it.
Yeah, I think,
or make it to where you are.
Yeah, I think it never looks exactly like what you think it's gonna be. Like, I think that it always looks slightly different. But I think if you're a good human being and you work hard and you show up, day after day. And even when music knocks me down, it's the same thing that gets me back out of bed that next day. And you do it because you love it. I also think that doing it for the right reasons makes a big difference. Like, I don't know, you can tell the people that they care more about being famous than they do anything else,
Right. And kind of a spin-off of that question, kind of different, but for someone in my position who's trying to be involved in the industry in other ways, like through podcasts, or I do booking for one of my friends who's a musician as well. But like, what advice would you have for someone like that, just trying to find a way to fit into the industry?
Oh, man, I think, shoot, you should come up to Nashville, that's always a fun way of connecting with people too. I feel like you've already done it from what I can see. Like, you're already connecting with awesome artists. Like, I think if you're putting yourself with people that, champion and represent, and, you have people on there like you, it's like, well, I'm going to go and tell my friends that I like him, y'all should get on his, his podcast or whatever. And so, God, I don't know. I feel like it's the same kind of thing. It's just like, do your thing and surround yourself with good people. And you should definitely come to Nashville too, because it's like, coming out to shows or because I've met, different people at certain shows. There's some guys who do some podcasts and whatnot, and they've come up to shows, and been like, "Hey, this is what I do. Do you ever want to come on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure." If they don't seem like a murderer, then I'm down.
That's
so.
Yeah.
That's always another approach, but I feel like you're
sorry.
No, I feel like you're killing it.
Yeah, I try, like, I'll go out to shows and stuff, and I'll try to go up, and if they're like, I'll be at the merch booth after the show, I always try to go over and talk to whoever's there, and networking, and just sometimes it's just totally as simple as like reaching out through social media too.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I found.
Yeah.
Or I'll look up their manager sometimes and email them, and just you never know unless you ask with a lot of these people. And I mean, that's how I got Parker. Before I should have.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah, I mean, you gotta just ask, because the worst they can say is no.
Yeah. And it's been surprising to me a little bit just how willing and excited people are to come on and talk about their music and share what they're doing, and it's been a lot of fun for me as a fan of the industry and everything. So.
Well, I mean, to me, it's a blessing to come on here and have somebody like you that's willing to share my story and champion my music. And so, like, for me, this is just cool that you have me on here. So thanks for doing that. I mean, I'm just appreciative for you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on here, for sure. And
totally.
I wanted to ask, do you have any new music coming out or that you're working on that you wanted to share with us? Any announcements while you're here on the show today?
We're in the process of picking songs for this next project, and I think it's already something that I'm like really proud of, even though like we kind of have some stuff in the works for it, and I think it's going to lean even heavier into my roots. And it's so far the songs on this project are songs that like have been kind of on my heart for a long time, and I'm not thinking about anything except for what songs I love and am dying to put out. It's not what I think radio's gonna like, it's not what I think it's just all about, this speaks to me and I hope it speaks to you. And they're just some of my favorite songs that I just keep coming back to, either new ones or ones over the years. And I think it's gonna just lean even a little bit more Texas, a little bit more stripped down, and just kind of to the core of who I am. So I will keep y'all posted for sure, but in the next couple of months.
Well, that's exciting. We'll be keeping our eyes out for that one, and we'll be sure to share it and let everyone know when it comes out.
Have to be looking.
Do a review or something.
For sure.
But a positive review.
I would love that. Yes, only 5 stars. So.
Yeah, only we only say positive reviews.
Exactly.
But we ask everyone that comes on the podcast, and especially you being from Texas, do beans belong in chili?
Oh, heck yeah, they belong in chili. I love beans. God, the people that are like, no beans in the chili. I'm sorry if you're that person, but I freaking love beans. Beans belong in everything. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No, I have to agree. I put beans in my chili, so I guess I'm on the Rich O'Toole side of things. I think it's like Rich O'Toole versus William Clark Green or something. But
oh my gosh, man, those guys! I bet they're just yapping about that. I love them. I just freaking love beans. I put them in everything. Not in my fruit, not in my pancakes, but just about everything else. So,
do you put them on toast like the people do in England? Here, beans on toast.
God, I don't, but I would. I really would. That's an interesting idea. So, beans on toast with a cup of tea.
Something like that. That's like they're like a breakfast item over there, I think.
But, yeah, they do beans. I mean, I think it's just the staple of life. My neighbors all think that I only eat beans. Like, everybody texts me after like our first like neighborhood get together. They're like, "Can we get your bean recipe?" I just love beans. Yeah. It's the best.
Well, before we wrap up here, I do want to ask you: do you have anyone that you want to shout out that you'd like to see here on the Red Dirt Aggie Show? Yeah, artists or anyone in the industry.
Oh man, gosh, I do have some good people. I love. There's a girl, she's a Texas gal. Her name's Gloria Anderson, and she's released some tunes, and she's just a great little Texas songwriter. She lives here, and I just think she's good people, and I'm pumped to watch her grow and do her thing. I think she's really cool. So many people I'm a fan of. Have you had William Beckman on the show?
I have.
Okay, I do love him. I think he is awesome.
He was, and he was a really fun interview too. Super nice guy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
he's good people. Yeah. So, He's just one that I love. But there's a lot of good ones out there, but Gloria's great. I mean, just so many Texas buds. I can't even name them all. But I'm glad you've had William on the show. You should get Gloria on the show because she's a great gal and great little songwriter.
Well, we're added to our list, and we're going to start reaching out to some more people, getting some more great interviews scheduled like this one here today. But thank you so much, Catie, for coming by and hanging out on the Red Dirt Aggie Show.
Thanks for having me. Next time we'll do this in person in Texas.
Absolutely, we love that for sure. Just let us
know
over
next some bean chili.
Yeah, over some chili.
Yes,
beans.
over some beans.
So live on camera, rub it in everyone's faces.
Oh, I'm super down. Well, I'll keep you posted. I'll be back there in October for some shows, so maybe we can connect then and get some food.
Sounds good. Well, this has been the Red Dirt Aggie Show. I'm Brian, the Red Dirt Aggie. That is
Catie Offerman. Thanks for having me.
And as always, gig 'em and God bless, and we'll see you next time.